Bev Buds.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time you're listening and wherever you're listening from. This is the Bev Buds. As always, I'm your host, Trent Reardon.
I'm Daniel Gray. Sorry, Dan.
I am Daniel Gray.
And who are you?
I'm Kyle. Kyle David Wright.
One day you'll get like a good intro. you need something, don't you? Because Trent has like his little thing. I have my good night thing.
He just wants to make it his own
I've
thing.
got my howdy thing that I'm coining.
Sure.
Howdy, Dan.
Howdy, Kyle.
Howdy, Trent.
Howdy, Kyle.
Boys. What bev have we got this week?
So the Bev this week is sent in by a fan submission.
Yep.
And it is from all the way from WA.
It's not.
It's not from Tom.
Oh.
But it is.
I was going to say the Premier Mark McGowan orders.
So it is the good old bush chook, the
Wow.
emu export.
Yeah?
So these beers you can't nowadays you sort of can get them in Victoria,
Right.
But previously you couldn't.
Like they were a WA institution.
They
sort of thing, yeah.
like it says on the can.
I love the prison on the front of the can.
Do you really lock up emus in this?
So, like it says on the can, it's beer for Western Australia. So that's why. Like it was basically made for WA.
Right. Okay.
It is basically WA's version of EB.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So it's
I have heard of something like the emu.
so Dan's gonna love this one.
Dan's. Hey, here's a question. Do you reckon Dan will give this a thumbs up?
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, alright. Let's see how I go.
Cheers.
That's not that bad.
It's not bad. Do you know what it
It
tastes like?
has much taste, actually.
Yeah. But is that because we're comparing it to the last one? The Piggy Smalls one that we had?
Yeah, but I didn't drink much of it. So, like, it's just this, like, really watered down beer.
Do you know
Well,
what it tastes like?
that's what I think it tastes like.
I, straight away went, it tastes like Carlton Draft.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Carlton Draft has more taste than this.
does it?
I'd say so.
I mean, there's only 1.2 standards.
Yeah.
So it is probably on the weaker side of drinks.
So, 1923, it was established, it says. Since 1923. That's a long time of brewing beer.
Do you think?
Do you think
Do I
what?
think what, Trent?
No, well, I mean, it's emu export.
Yeah.
Like, do you think? I mean, it was established in 1923, so obviously, like, they were brewing mid-emu war.
That Dan brought
The
up.
great emu war. Do you think that would have had an impact on this beer?
Do you think emus have anything to do with the beer company?
Yeah, the logo.
No, but do you think they have like emus out in the front?
Like, do you think if you went into the brewery, they'd have an emu at the reception?
The emus aren't putting these cans down. They're horrible creatures.
What if a bit of emu goes into every can?
You can find one little feather each.
What do you think of it so far, D?
It's just, like I said before, it just tastes like watered down beer.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's nothing like last time, but
Yeah, maybe you might give it a thumb up of
Nah.
some sort.
Being a little bit more flavourless,
Yeah,
it's a bit. It can be more of a sessional.
it could be. Yeah. So I was thinking something when I was driving home, just before we did this podcast.
Right. So
Literally just as I was coming home from work.
so you hadn't had a drink at this point.
No.
oh yeah.
Okay.
So I was thinking something. So I live near a very steep road.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
for those, it's a turn road, which is
What's the address?
Those locals will know Hern Road, but
Yeah.
for those of you that may not be familiar, it's a really steep hill that goes for a couple of k's.
It's
probably 2 k's.
It's a long road. Yeah.
And it feels like when you're going down it, it's like a 45-degree incline.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
probably not that much, but it feels really steep going down. And you go down. At the end of it is a cliff, like a drop off into. Probably, what would you say, 10-meter drop off?
Oh,
and
easy.
then rocks, and then the ocean.
Yeah.
And those rocks you can jump off as
The
well.
pillars, yeah. But so I'm going down Hern Road, and I'm thinking to myself, let's say right at this second, let's say towards the top of the hill, or let's say when I've picked up a lot of speed, my brakes don't work.
Yeah.
Right? Like brakes are just take the brakes out of the equation for some reason.
Okay.
You're going down a hill. On one side there's shrubbery, on the other side there's like rock. And there's just like a bunch of rocks and like more shrub that goes into a ditch.
Right.
You're going down a hill, you're going to be picking up speed. What would you do in that situation?
You're going for those rocks, 100%.
You go for the rock.
You go for the rocks.
No, like,
Because
because like there's shrubbery. If you go for that and you just go flying off the cliff.
No, I'm talking about the shrubbery on the side of the road, not at the
Oh.
end. At the end, you're going off the cliff. Like you get to the bottom of that road, you're probably going to go off the cliff into the ocean.
I reckon. I mean, I don't know until I'm actually in that situation,
Yeah,
but
which one is God's the term you're not.
but I feel like, for the sake of this argument,
Yeah.
I would take my chances. I'd speed up.
No.
Cause think about it. If you speed up right and you get the right amount of speed
Yeah.
and you smash through the barrier at the end,
Yeah.
hopefully you can jump out of the car midair
In the water.
and land in the water. But
Wow.
you like deep enough.
This isn't Tokyo Drift.
Well, you don't
Yeah.
don't bash into each ride then.
I would...
Good old push bashing.
Because I asked Nick this. Nick's a real car person. And he was saying he would either swerve in like an S shape.
Right, to try and slow down.
To try and slow down. Or when he gets to the bottom of the hill, it goes onto the esplanade. Like a
You'd be
winding
going
road.
way
He
too
wants
quick.
to try and turn around.
No.
How could you turn around?
Because the
Not
speed
turn, but turn like left.
the
onto
speed
it,
limit is
like-
the speed limit at the top of the hill is 80.
And then it goes to 60.
So if you get up to 80 and then you realise your brakes failed, you're going to be gaining speed that whole way down.
Yeah, exactly. So your go-to is drive off the cliff.
I
reckon
I'd
try and just
risk
jump.
it for the biscuit.
I would jump
Alright.
out of the car.
You know,
It's done. I'm gonna
Well, yeah.
into the shrub.
I got a good break.
Yeah.
Aim for the next car that's coming.
You go for a car.
I'm kidding. That'll bring you to a halt. No.
Should we jump into a question
We
box?
should.
A question candle.
The question
Should I
candle.
say?
The question candle's been really flowing at the moment.
It has. I'm loving it. Keep it coming, guys.
Can I start with a question from me?
Yeah, go
To you
for
guys?
it.
Because I was thinking about this week. And I wanted to put a question in the box, but I didn't.
Is that a question box or just you asking a question?
Well, I want to
Go
know.
for it.
So, because we're a beverage podcast, you could say we're buds. We're Bev buds.
Yes.
Yeah, on a technicality,
We're,
yes.
we're not
So-
part of the alcoholic spawn or anything like that.
No.
No.
So I want to know. I was just wanted to ask, what do you guys have a favorite drunk story or a bev story? A story that involves beverages, just from your youth. You know, one that's like just a story from that involves alcohol. That's like a funny story. Your favorite, like a funny memory involving alcohol. Because I
don't like where this could go.
right. Because can I say mine?
Sure.
So you guys think about yours. But one of mine's on schoolies when we shaved our initials into Nick.
A friend who's got a very, very hairy chest.
And he wanted to have a mohawk. He willingly. We asked him when he wasn't. We did this when he wasn't passed out. We
That's
said-
right.
He's like, yeah, shaved my head into a mohawk. And at the time, all the rave was like a schoolies Facebook page where you'd submit photos and they put up a pic of that. You know,
Yeah.
wild schoolies moments for like our class of 2013. And Nick made it onto that page of him like asleep on the couch. With
We
like
replaced his beer with a banana.
but I don't know. This is to me. That's one of my favorite memories involving devs. Like yeah. So I was sort of thinking about, and another one was I think it was at your house, D. I think it was the first time we ever drank alcohol.
Okay.
And we got a bottle of Jack Daniels, and there was
And we
like
all
six
thought-
of us.
There was
like
like 6 or 7 of us, yeah.
and we thought it was so like scary and ooh.
Oh, we're gonna get so drunk.
And you know, that was just enough for like what, a drink each or 2 drinks.
And I vividly remember us all drinking it because we all only got about 1 drink each, and we went, "Is this drunk? Is this what we're supposed to feel like?"
Yeah. And we had cigars in your spot.
Yeah.
So we had a very lavish night. But you, the next day...
was so nervous.
You got so nervous because we were young.
Yeah.
And you got rid of the bottle and everything in your neighbour's bin because you didn't want to like... There's no way we can trace back what we did at your house. back to us.
Yeah.
I just love that. And I don't know. I just feel like it's like a funny memory.
Oh, Trent remembers that night. What I did worse.
What?
With the cigars, but like, because I got all nervous that because
Because Thomas James Webb,
the vomiter. The
serial vomiter,
Yep.
and I decided that we'd treat ourselves for the first time. And for complete legal disclosure, I'm not going to say how young we were at this point.
You don't need to. It's open for interpretation.
That's right. We decided to be a bit fancy with our whiskey.
Yeah,
and,
as you do.
And have a nice cigar with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys just tossed it away and all that stuff. But because I didn't know where you put them, I got so nervous that my parents were going to find them.
Yeah.
And like, started digging through the garden.
He turned into the human lawnmower. Just searching for these cigars.
I remember like you guys making fun of me the next day. I'm like, oh, why are they making fun of me? It's not even that bad. Like, I'm just looking. And I think back, I'm like, why did I even bother?
Well, did you have a memory, like a fond memory of just like a night or an event?
It's more like what we're like we shouldn't have done it. Like it was just like it's you and I, Kai.
Yeah.
I know it's the first one that popped in my head. I know I got other ones, but like this is the one I can think of the most.
Yeah.
One night, like we had a drink. It's one of the first times we had drank as well.
Right.
And we drank at a friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
And he drank too much, and he got a bit unwell.
Right.
So you and I were just hanging out.
Yeah.
And we thought, hey, let's go climb on the roof.
We climbed on the roof.
And like, he's getting taken care of and all
Yeah.
this stuff. And his mum comes out and tells you, like, oh, get off the roof. And we get off the roof. Like, what, 10 minutes later, we're back sitting on the rooftop?
There's something about being young
Yeah.
and going
you
on roofs of
Because you think you're
things.
invincible.
You're doing something outrageous.
You do it, it's wild. Like,
Yes.
in your head, it's just, and it's looking back, like, now, if one of you guys went on the roof, I'd look at you
Like, what are you doing?
Like, why are you climbing on the roof?
that looks tiring, and I don't want to sit up there.
But like, like we got up there the second time, and just like we thought we were so cool sitting up on the rooftop, and then like his mum goes out and she just snaps at us. Like she was
she's done.
Like
She's
she was
done.
such a nice lady
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm honestly really happy with those, and if I put my question in there and was listening, I'd be happy with those answers. So thanks.
Did you just give yourself a pat on the back?
No,
I think he just gave himself a pat on the back.
No, I was saying you guys.
Is that
happy with
acceptable?
You guys.
No.
Let's move on to the next question.
That was such like a. That was such a good question. You know what?
No, I'm happy how you guys answered it. Not the question. The question's
Alright.
very. I was happy you guys answered it and enjoyed it.
So yeah, this comes from.
Oh no.
I don't know if we can go there.
Let's see.
I don't. I'll read it out.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to make the podcast.
Yeah.
Or not, but this is from Brisbane again.
Yeah.
Howdy, Jade Southwell. This one is, what is your most awkward sexual experience?
Oh, Jade. Listen, I did know this one was coming, and I thought about it. And I'd like to share mine.
Okay.
It's PG. It's not.
We'll keep it in.
We'll keep it PG.
Just for Jade's humour.
Yeah, no, it was. Look,
She
Jade,
requested the
she's
question,
asked 2 questions. It was
And
said-
and look, for legal reasons, this segment is called Ask Us Anything.
and we'll answer it.
So we have to answer it.
So we're gonna keep it PG.
That's right.
So my just to start things off, you guys can think about it while you. So I was 16, and
Right.
I was at my girlfriend at the time. I was over at her house, and I remember we weren't doing anything crazy. I think I think we were just kissing, right?
Right.
But we had our tops off, and when we were kissing,
Which is a big deal
It-
for a 16-year-old Kyle.
Absolutely. Like, recently turned 16 as well, to be fair. And all of a sudden, I hear a knock on the door. And it's her mum. And she's like, "Hey, guys, dinner's ready." And then immediately jumped up. And I'm like, what do I do? She starts, like, trying to put her top back on. And I can't put my top on in time because it's in the corner.
Oh,
so I'm
no.
standing in the corner. And I put my top on just in time as she opens the door. And my partner at the time was still not fully dressed.
Oh.
And I'm standing in the corner.
Standing in the corner.
And I thought to myself, how could I turn around. And I stand in
Yes.
the corner turning around.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, in my justification, so the mum walks into a room, she sees her daughter on the bed, and she sees this boy who she started dating in the corner turned around. And because in my head at the time, I still remember it. It's branded into my brain. I thought the best way to diffuse this is like, oh, she needed to quickly get changed. I'll turn around and be a gentleman
Yes.
while she gets changed.
What a gentleman you are, Kyle.
And because anyway, so I turned around, did that, and the mum, ever since after that moment, was never allowed to have the door shut.
Yeah,
at
door
my
open.
my high school girlfriend's house. So that was just like, yeah, that's to me, that's my most awkward thing because I still cringe when I think about it, and it's like one of those things that you like, you live with. No, I don't need you guys. I know this. Listen, I did us a favour then.
I'm going to say it's a good save.
I would tell I'll tell you a cringe thing though, like yours, but it's not to do with like.
Okay.
So,
But before you do that,
Yeah.
can I say we've answered this question. The Ask Us Anything, we've answered it. We've done our obligation. So if you guys.
Well, I have an answer.
Okay,
as
good.
well.
Okay, I think you should keep it in. I like these questions, but
So, my awkward experience, I'd say. Thanks, Jade, for the question, by the way.
yeah, thank you, Jade. Your boyfriend vomits in toilets.
So my wife now, this was years ago when we first started dating.
Yeah.
We thought it'd be romantic to go out to the drive-in.
Right.
So we sat there, we laid there, we watched a nice movie, and then we decided to do the old classic, young couple in love sort of thing, drive up Arthur's Seat. So we take a nice drive up Arthur's Seat, and to our surprise, no one was there, right?
Yeah.
So we backed the car up, and we sort of opened the door, and so we were just laying in the back of the car, enjoying the nice view, the serenity.
Yeah.
Things were getting a little heated back there, I'd say.
As you were really enjoying
As we were really enjoying each other's company with the scenic view.
Yeah.
About 3 cars.
No.
People rock up, park next to it, get out and start talking and taking photos and not of us, but
just in general, and you're stuck there
how do we
moment ruined.
What do we do?
I love it. Dan, what about you?
Mine isn't it's more just I remember just being so embarrassed in a way of it's nothing that full on. It was just I remember we had just finished high school and it was New Year's.
Right.
And everyone's celebrating New Year's, everyone's had a few drinks, everyone's having a fun time. And it gets to New Year's Eve, countdown, blah blah blah. And everyone's celebrating.
Yeah.
And the girl I'm next to did the awkward hug, and we gave each other a New Year's kiss.
Yeah.
But because it's me at 18 years old, I am so socially awkward. No one is.
So you see you kissed?
Yeah. And everyone's jumping into the pool, so I just jumped in the pool.
And you left her there. Oh,
because I didn't know what to do.
Listen,
because I just went,
oh my God.
And hey, I'm just gonna jump in the because I had no clue what to do.
Yeah.
So my first thought is I'm just gonna dive in this pool.
Well, there you go, Jade. We answered your question.
Yeah, thanks, Jade.
Should we?
Well, one more question.
Should we do one more?
Did Dan ask for one more question? We do one more question.
No, you do it. Hey, you can't dig into.
No, I'm just. Okay, this is from. Our old boss, Marcus Levy.
The chef himself.
Marcus Levy. It's now keep in mind it does say ask us anything and we'll answer it.
Okay.
It says how would you survive life as Dan? Now to be clear, Marcus was our boss for a long time, really.
Yeah, he was.
And Dan, you and I worked at the winery. We were both in the kitchen together.
Yeah.
And it was a very classic mentality of just ripping on each other and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah,
real roast, really constant picking on each other.
Yeah.
So how would you survive life as Dan? I reckon I could survive life as Dan. I think you got a pretty good life, Dave. Being honest.
Oh yeah, I've got a pretty good life.
Yeah.
What else am I supposed to say?
How do you survive?
You know what? Because I'm on the podcast now, I'm going to say something to Marcus.
Oh, here we go.
You goddamn almost killed me in that goddamn... because I used to be the dishy.
Yeah.
When they got rid of the goddamn fan in that room... because I used to have this fan, so at least the cool air, because you're in the dish area, because it used to heat up a lot.
Yeah,
the kitchen heats up a lot.
Yeah.
They got rid of. There was a nice fan.
It goes up to the oven exhaust.
Yeah, it goes up to the oven, and instead of so they get rid of this fan to put in an oven exhaust, and guess where the heat out of the oven is heading towards? Me.
So basically, if you're doing dishes, you're in a back room that catches a heap of sun with no ventilation,
and I just remember boiling in there.
Yeah.
He was a great boss. I still think that. But I just remember
just when the fan's gone. So I want to ask you guys something.
Right.
So this is sort of regarding doctors and doctors' offices.
Right.
Okay.
So when you walk into a doctor's office, I'm saying clinic, not like a hospital.
Yeah.
Just like your doctor's
your local
clinic.
GP. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, they've got their degrees up on the wall. If they're a nice, Like if it's like a nicer office, if it's like usually it's like the private ones have like they have their degrees.
Yeah.
How many I've got two questions, two parts to this question. First one, how many degrees until you can put them up on display? Because let's say right now you come home and I've got my uni thing up in the wall.
I think you're a douchebag.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, can I just say, like, and again, I'm sorry, Lauren, for listening to this, but like I sort of cracked it at her because I don't. Like, she hung them up in the study.
Yeah.
And I don't want them on display.
Right.
Because I only have one.
Yeah.
And I think this is what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So you wouldn't hang one up.
No.
Would you hang? Where? How many do you have to have until you'd start putting them?
I'd say 3.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like maybe like if you're got a doctorate, you'd be like, "There's my doctorate up
So
there."
if I had one doctorate up there, would I look like?
I don't know. Maybe
like a PhD on the wall.
I feel like at work it's fine to be putting up your like.
But not in like a study at home.
Not at your home, maybe, unless like you work from home in
Right.
that study.
Okay. So what would your number be, Trent? Do you think they're like?
I think 3 or 4.
Then you'd have them on display. Like,
Yeah.
Look at me.
Because then the wall was sort of filled a bit.
with it.
Yeah.
And because I feel like if I wanted to hang them, I'd compensate for like other qualifications, like my responsible service and my food handlers. So I was thinking about this. I was thinking about the doctors on the wall. And the other thing I was thinking about was when you go into a doctor's office, they've got shelving of books, right? And half of them have a skeleton model, or like a model of like the pelvis, or like something, like just something weird. Right?
Yeah, something.
And they've always got like drawings that kids have done, don't they? Like they've got like.
No kid would draw there. Like, where do they get them from? But I want to know. Do you reckon they get to choose what they decorate their office with?
Yeah.
So let's say you start your first day at the doctor's clinic.
Yeah.
Dr. Daniel Gray.
He's Dr. Gray.
What do you go? Okay, I want to put up this book. I want to have the skeleton here. Like,
I feel like I'll be that one like who's got like all like the weird anatomy stuff.
Really unorthodox.
You wouldn't have any like nice books like like Lonely Planet or like
Lonely.
I'm just thinking,
How to make more friends. I'd say like you'd start with the ones with like the human body stuff. I'd say.
Would you cram it with like textbooks from uni? Do you reckon, just to make it look like it?
So make you look like you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So like uni work's going somewhere.
and the other thing I was thinking of, do you reckon they have to pay for the skeletons?
Yes.
Out of your own pocket?
I'd say so.
Okay, so let's say I want a skeleton, and I'm like, where do I get one? They're like, you've got to pay for that, Dr. Wright. Would you pay for a skeleton in your own office? Or would you try and like nab one from a college?
I feel like though, like you need it because like, what if someone's like, oh, like
I've hurt myself.
Point on the skeleton where it hurts.
So last week, Dan,
Yes.
you gave me a top 5 to do.
Yeah.
In the end, we finally got there.
Did we?
So your top 5 to me was 5 reasons why Valentine's Day shouldn't exist. And before I go on, I'm going to sound like Kyle here. I'm going to say that it's quite amazing that this is the one segment that has carried us all the way through here. I mean, this is episode 8, the podcast 8 that we're filming.
I
don't understand how fun facts didn't survive.
I don't understand how fun facts or any of the other niche segments that there's no way of doing more than one survived.
So, 5 reasons why Valentine's Day shouldn't exist by Trent Reardon.
And, I only did it because actually you go with your thing.
So number 5, Trent?
So number 5 for me is you just can't enjoy it. So let me I'll back this up. So you can't enjoy it in terms of the activities that you do. You think Valentine's Day, you think, all right, let's do something romantic. Let's go to the cinemas. Mm-hmm. You go to the cinemas, there's 100 people there already.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's go out for dinner. Let's have a nice romantic dinner. There's 100 people there.
Right.
So it's just not quite. It's not a quiet night.
It's also hard to get bookings.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you end up like being rushed and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to number 4, it shouldn't exist because it's expected.
Mm.
Right.
So for people who are lazy like me, like it's expected. So you have to do something.
You do.
Yeah.
You're obligated.
But it's like it's not. Valentine's Day isn't a surprise.
No, so
You
you see it on the calendar.
That's right. So they know,
Yeah.
or your significant other know, that it's something that's going to happen that
And
day.
honestly, if it's come up in conversation with your partner the last couple of weeks, right? Like,
Yeah.
Valentine's Day's coming up.
I
Yeah.
literally had a conversation with Soph saying, do we even want to bother celebrating Valentine's Day? And we both agreed we don't care.
Yeah. So moving on to number 3.
Yeah.
It could actually be an early relationship killer.
Right.
So in terms of the gift that you give,
Yeah.
because too small of a gift,
Yeah.
it shows that you, like, they might think that you don't really care,
Right.
right?
Too big.
But too big, then you
Yeah.
look like, oh, who's this weirdo, like, going
Maybe
all
you
out.
said-
It's our first Valentine's Day, he's bought me a bloody ring or something.
Or you set the precedent that I'm always going to.
That's right, you're going to have to better it.
Yeah, it's pretty
Every
risky.
year.
It is very risky.
So that's why it shouldn't exist. Number 2, someone's always going to get a better gift. So there's always going to be someone who it feels bad.
Right.
For example, like, you could think that you're doing a really good thing by
Yeah.
putting together a bit of a coupon pack. A bit of a, here's one free hug, or
One free back
here's one
massage.
free back
Yeah,
massage.
yeah.
And then they get you like a bloody hot air balloon experience or something of significance.
Yeah, yeah.
They can throw that piece of paper off the hot air balloon.
So that's number 2. Number 1 is, it's just another day to forget.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like, we've already got birthdays.
Yeah.
We've already got anniversaries.
You do.
It's just another day.
Yeah. No, exactly. And everything's inflated,
Like-
and there's always set menu stuff.
Oh,
Like, is it, out of all the, like, is it a holiday? What would you call it? Like, what is
No,
it?
it's what was made by like marketing companies to spend money around February, wasn't it? Like, it's not like a.
well, isn't it? Yeah, it's based on religion.
Isn't it-
It's a religious event, though, wasn't it? Was this dude who like died or
but it
something?
hasn't existed
Yeah, but isn't
until recently.
yeah, but isn't all of our things like
Commercially,
yeah,
that? A lot
Yeah.
of them are commercial, though.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, is the least interesting commercial holiday? That's probably the best way I can say it. Of all of them. What?
What's your favourite commercial holiday?
Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas is good. That's a good one.
Yeah, Christmas, 100%.
so I guess it's my turn to pass on the 5 reasons.
It is.
Top
Trent,
5.
that was a really good. They were all really good, like justifications of it as well.
So my top 5, I'm passing it to you, Kyle.
Yep.
And I would consider this one a little bit hard.
Okay.
So it's going to be interesting to see how you go.
Yeah.
So it's top 5 things in everyday life that wears your patience thin.
Isn't
So
that,
for-
have we already done that?
No, so that's like, so we had top 5 moments of frustration.
Yeah.
But this is
well,
like
that was like
things.
unsatisfying.
Yeah,
Like,
so this is
more-
things that make you impatient. So, for
Right.
example, today I was coming out of a paid car park.
Yeah.
So where you put your ticket in, you have to pay. Anyway, so we're sitting there, and I'm about like it got to the point where the person leaving at the gate, they were having trouble with the machine,
Yeah.
and it caused this backlog of cars,
Oh.
and I couldn't even get out of my spot.
You're just stuck there.
So I was stuck there for about 15 minutes just
Wow.
waiting.
Yeah.
So that
That's
wore my
my-
patience thin.
Yeah. So stuff that wears my patience thin. I can have top 5. Can I tell you guys a story about what happened to me? I don't think I've told you guys this on my road trip about. Did I tell you what happened to my surfboard?
Yeah, you told me.
Did I tell you?
No, I wasn't aware you even had a surfboard.
Okay. Okay. So, as you guys know, I did a road trip with Rose. We went from Melbourne up to Byron Bay, up
Yep.
the coast, New South Wales. Beautiful trip.
To
On
rub
the-
shoulders with all the Hollywood A-listers up there
Wow,
right now.
I just wanted to pretend I was one of them. So we were driving up, and we're in day 4 or 5. We're in Wollongong,
Right.
just below Sydney.
Yep.
Really fucking busy place. I didn't think it was. I thought it was going to be like country town, Sydney, country town. No, it feels like it's like here in peak summer.
Yeah, right.
All the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, we drive in, and this whole time I told Dad when I was doing my trip, and I thought, like, we're on the coast the entire time. I was umming and ahhing, do I bring like a paddleboard, but I don't want to take it off at night, put it in the motel,
Yeah.
or the Airbnb. So I'm like, look, I don't want to bring it, and Dad's like, well, why don't you take the foam surfboard, the foam Luna surfboard? He said, none of us care about it. You can fit it in your car. You can leave it on the roof if you want to go have out for lunch.
Yeah.
Like no one cares about this.
You can make a story out of the podcast from it.
Oh, don't worry. So anyway, the surfboard's attached to the roof the whole trip basically.
Right.
And I get to Wollongong, and Rose and I were staying in Manly, which is north of Sydney.
Mm.
So we're staying, but on the trip up, we're like, hey, let's stop in Wollongong. We'll have lunch on the beach. Chill for a couple of hours, break up the drive, and then we'll drive up to Manly.
Right.
So we drive to Wollongong. It's already like 2 hours into the drive already. And we drive in, and there's not one single spot all along the beach. We drive around. There's like a lighthouse thing. Driving around. All in the city, there's no parking. Like, there's just nowhere to park. And we're driving, and I spent about 20 minutes looking for a park. I'm like, this is ridiculous. We could just keep going. And then we're like, oh no, there's a Wilson's parking. You know, like we've got them in Melbourne, just the expensive as fuck parking warehouses, garages. So we go in, so I drive in, and it's like down this alley, and it looks really dodgy. Anyway, I drive in. First of all, I go up, the gate's open, top floor. This car park, to describe it, there's a ground level. Or you can go right and go down and go to the basement level. Two levels. And on top of it was like a high-rise apartment. Anyway, so I drive in, the gate's open. I start driving into the top floor, and the gate just smacks down like a guillotine. It's one of those like mesh gates on top of my car. And it completely like beheaded my surfboard. Like middle of my car just like decapitated it in half. So my surfboard's fucked at this point, and I reverse back, and the gate's stuck in the car, and it pulls the gate back with it. So not only is my surfboard wrecked at this point, it's pulling the gate and bending it, and then it just comes back up like halfway. And at this point, there's this car behind me, and they
this witness story.
Anyway, they reverse back as well, and then they go down to the basement, and I'm stuck there, and this gate's just sitting there, and it slowly goes back down, and it's shut. And I'm like, what do I do? I need to park because I can't stay in the entrance to the car park.
How's Rose doing all this?
She's just like shocked. We're both shocked because it was
what's happened?
Like, do you question if you did something wrong? Like,
you're like, why did the gate close?
It was open as in like, I thought you drive through, you get a ticket in there. Basically, it just looked like it was ready to go, and it just like guillotine shut. Anyway, it gets worse. So we drive down to the basement level, and I get a ticket on the way down, terrified of the next boom gate, and it's just an empty car park. There's no one there.
Which, it really makes you wonder. Like,
and I'm like, why isn't anyone else in the car park? And I'm like questioning myself, like, is it going to be really expensive? Or And I just think, basically what I needed to do was check the surfboard. And get it off the roof. So I checked the surfboard, and it's cut in half. I'll put up a picture of what it looks like. And it's cut in half, and the strap that keeps the board to the roof is like riveted into the cut. So I can't even get it off the roof. So I had to cut it with a box cutter to get it off. I spent half an hour doing this. And then I had to squeeze it in the car. Rose had to sit in the back of the car for the next like 3 hours while we drove up to Manly. Anyway, I go to I go to pay to get out again. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna get the car. I want to get out of this car park because one, I didn't want them to charge me for breaking their gate, and two, it was
even though they've got your number plate on the camera.
Although there was no camera at the entrance. That's what made me go like, maybe I can get out of there. Even though it was their fault, I just wanted to get out of there because I didn't want to like be there anymore. And it was a surfboard no one cared about. So that's why I just wanted to go. It was worth like a couple $100 at most. And I'm like, I just want to get out of here. So I go to pay, and I put my card in, and it's like, first of all, I go to pay by card, and it's like, we don't take card at the moment. So I'm like, so I run back to the car. This is again like it's like a 5-minute walk, and it's across the car park. And I get the coins out of my thing. I find like a few dollars. And I start go back. This has already taken 10 minutes. Start putting the coins in, and it won't take the coins either. And I'm like, oh my god. So I'm like, you know what, maybe I can pay at the machine up the top. Drive up to the exit, put the card in, try to pay by card. No, you gotta pay at the machine. So I'm like, let me out. Like, it was this purgatory of this car park. So I go back.
Give us half that surfboard.
Half the surfboard. So I go back, and I'm like, I call the number on the box thing. And I'm like, I can't get out. And she's like, what car park are you in? And I'm like, I don't know. Is there a reference number? And like, I'm in Wollongong. And she's like, we're a national service. We can't tell. We don't know what car park.
Did you just tell them the one with the broken gate?
The one with the bits of surfboard stuck in it. Anyway, so then she's like, oh, don't worry, doll. Just go up to the thing and call help on the exit boom gate. So I'm like, all right. So I go back, finally do it. And I call up, and then I'm like, hi, the lady told me that I can't get out, my card won't work. Like, just please let me out. At this point, it's been an hour I've been stuck under there. Getting my surfboard off, trying to get out, just out of here.
You hadn't even enjoyed the beach or anything.
The beach is gone. So, I finally get out, and I'm stewing, and like it's just like one of those things where it's like that was the biggest waste of time and just like my patience. And then we had to do a 3-hour drive to Manly during peak hour Sydney traffic
with half a surfboard
and Rose in the back. So it was just so crap. It was the worst part of the trip by far.
So I can imagine you just stewing the whole time.
It's just one of the things where you just want to get to where your destination. You know, it's like I'm done with the whole day.
Like when you and I got stuck at an airport.
Yeah, like when we got stuck at an airport.
Yeah.
It's just exactly the same. You're just done with everything and you just want to be where you're meant to be. Like.
Oh, no, I get that. Also, I forgot to bring up something last week, well, like last time on the podcast.
Yeah, which was last week.
Uh-huh. So basically, I forgot to bring up as well...
Valentine's Day? Or...
Anyway, I was... It was to do with something about the history stuff, because it was something that clicked in my brain as well, but I forgot to bring up.
Right.
So this is something that happened to me when I was like overseas, and I was in France at the time.
Yeah.
So I was walking around France with these 2 Americans, and I'm just chatting to them and all that stuff, and we were looking around France, going see all the sights and all this stuff. And this is to do with like, the story has to do with like basically history. And they're talking to me about what they learned in school for history and stuff about all this stuff. And we're in this line for this church, and they go to me,
Right.
"Hey Dan, so tell us about Australian history." Because they were talking about World War II or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just, like, I wing it. Like, I don't remember what I fully said, but I start talking about what I think is Australian history.
Did they believe you?
You spoke about like the first time man rode kangaroo and stuff like that.
Yeah. The Emu War, the Great Emu War.
I think it had something to do with World War II, if I had to remember properly. And I just hear from behind me, "Oh, come on, mate, do you know anything about Australian history?"
Dan gets fact-checked in France on Australian history.
Like this 60-year-old, 70-year-old man with his wife, and he's got like the Australian logo on his goddamn t-shirt.
Is he part of the tour? He's surely
No, it's not a tour. It's just a line to get inside this church.
Yeah.
This isn't a tour. This is just some guy.
This is such a Dan moment.
Yeah.
And he starts ripping into me about what I've just said, because I can't remember what I said.
Yeah.
And he starts talking to these 2 American girls like about like what's actually like what that I'm completely wrong, or like
he's roasting.
He's completely roasting me.
Yeah.
And all I could do is stand there in this goddamn line and while he roasts you for a good this was a good 10 minutes or more.
Yeah.
And like they started chatting to him too. I'm like, "Oh, please don't start talking to this guy." Like, he's just roasting me.
Dan's already defeated.
Like I was like, "Oh, great!" Like I just look like the biggest fool ever. Because I thought like, "Oh, I'll just say what's the worst thing that happened?"
They don't know any better.
Well, how's everyone's bevs going?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah,
with it.
What were you saying? What would you give it, Trent?
I'm sorry, Tom, for being a WA local for this one. But,
he brags about being a local.
And he brags about emu export as well.
Constantly.
Really?
So I'm just gonna say they've dropped the ball.
Yeah.
I think it lacks flavour to me.
Right.
This, like Dan was saying, does taste watered down. So I'm gonna have to go a 7 out of 13.
You and I are pretty close with our sort of. What would you give it, Dale?
5 out of 13.
I'm gonna.
Jeez, not a thumbs down this week.
Ooh.
I'm gonna give it a 7. It's like
it's enjoyable.
It's very
it's drinkable. Yeah.
I'm getting worried that I'm like the drink snob here.
You are. You're getting labelled as that, D. You're the hardest to impress.
Hey, just because I don't throw thumbs at people. You have to earn it.
I'm giving mine 7 thumbs up. Trent, you're 7 thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm 7 thumbs up.
D, you're 5 thumbs up.
5 thumbs.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'd give it that.
Well,
I'm keen to see what next week's Bev's going to be.
I am too. If anyone has any suggestions, I would love to hear some more suggestions. We've been getting quite a few, which is good. So we've got a bit of a backlog of suggestions.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything they want to discuss before we wrap up?
Dan, do you want to prolong this podcast any longer?
No, I can't think of anything on the top of my head. Like, they already got the mouse. Maybe I'm ready to keep talking.
Dan's ready to have another round. Dan wants to do 10 more questions in the question box.
So, as always, Take care.
And good night.